tuning in tonight. Um, so, this is episode 7. We're going to be talking about new patients. And before we start, I just want to thank um, Silly Panda Media and the Blacksmith for showing up and supporting me and continually just making this happen every Wednesday for me. And I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. Um, Anyways, I'm your host. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, I'm your host Trinidad Mora with the Dental Advocate, where life as dental assistant live feeds from experience and unity. So let's get started. Um, so what about new patients? Um, who are they? Where do they live? Where do they come from? What do they want? Why are they here? And most importantly, how they hear about our office. Those are some of the things that run through my mind when I meet a new patient. And I just want to let you know that as an assistant, what can we do to set up our doctors for a better connection with the new patient after we've already made contact with them, which is most of the time, if you get an ideal scenario, is when they're ready for X-rays. That's when we're up. It's showtime. So I'm gonna talk about a few things that we can do and ask and talk about and bring up, so that we can make that connection and hopefully pass it on to our doctors, so that we can make a successful connection to them. Um, so as far as the scenario, let's just say we're coming in fresh. It's 8 a.m. on a Monday. The first patient is a new patient, and they already went through all the paperwork, and now it's time to take X-rays. So let's take it from there. Some of the things that I go over in my head is starts with bringing the patient in. So you grab the chart and you look over the health history, and you kind of get a feel for who this is. Most of the time, if the name is spelled in a form that I am not familiar with, I'll ask the girls in the front. It's very important to me that I say their name right. And the way you also call them in from the back office, um, I mean, from the waiting area to the back office. So one of the things that I tell my assistants when they come in new into the office is you gotta you gotta come in, and you gotta have a confident walk, some eye contact. You gotta eye contact when you say your name and you introduce yourself. So most of the time what we do is there's a door, right, from the waiting area to the back office. And what I see a lot of assistants do is they stop right at the door, and they peek their head out, and they say the patient's name to call them back, right? And to me, I was taught that going all the way into the in the waiting room is the best thing to do, especially if you know who they are, because you can just walk directly right up to them. And a lot of patients will be surprised because they're just used to someone peeking out, saying their name. Oh, that's me. Let me walk in. But it's different when you're trying to make a connection from the get go, and that's part of it. Get out there, walk into the middle of the waiting area, even if you don't know who they are. Walk out to the middle of the waiting area, call their name. Someone's gonna get up, look them in the eye, tell them who you are or what you're gonna do, and bring them back. Give them a smile, greet them, and let it start with a good introduction. So as far as the handshake, honestly, I don't really like to handshake. So I'll wait. I'll wait to see if they extend their hand to shake it, and I'll do it. But I keep my hands to my side, just because, you know cross contamination, and sometimes they're real nervous and their hands are freaking sweaty. So I just I try to keep to myself unless they extend their hand. I'm sure some of you have experienced that too. So when you're bringing them to the back, if the X-ray room is immediately right where the door is for them to come in, great. That means you're not going to lose them. But if you have to go around the corner, through a hallway or whatever, slow down for them. You know, don't lose them. I've seen assistants come in, they call them, they see someone gets up, and phew, they're gone. And then they look back and they're like, "Where's my patient?" Yeah, well, you just left them in the dust. So be very aware, and some people can't walk as fast as you can, so be aware of that. If they're elderly, help them if they need it. Don't watch them struggle. I mean, obviously they got there on their own, but don't watch them struggle. Even if they say it's fine, go up to them, help them carry their bags, you know, lend an arm if you need to, whatever. Um, if and then especially if they're carrying something, plan in your head. How are you going to accommodate all that stuff? Sometimes they have bags, drinks, walkers, canes, helmets, children, relatives. Think about going and getting some extra chairs, or let them know, you and only one person can come back or whatever. Don't wait till they go all the way back and then tell them, oh, only one person can stay. Let them know so that they don't have to walk all the way to wherever they're going. The other thing is, let them know where to put their belongings when you're walking them into the room. Let them know where to put their stuff. Say, hey, there's a hook right there, or you can put it on the counter. Go ahead and have a seat. This is your chair. Explain what's next and why. Usually, when I'm in the X-ray room, after I greeted them and I sat them down, I I tell them, I said, hey, we're gonna go ahead and do a real thorough exam today. On your first visit, we're gonna take an FMX, which consists of this and this and this. We're gonna take a panoramic X-ray, and when we get to the room, we're gonna take some photos. We do that. We always do that on our first visits. In between those visits, we're gonna do checkup X-rays, and it just consists of two on each side and two in the front, and if there's anything that you're concerned about. So, let them know that you ain't going to take this whole bunch of x-rays every time they come in. Some patients are concerned about that, especially with radiation. It's a lot less now with digital, but let them know. Let them know. Give them the information so that they're well informed. Um, let's see. So I usually ask them how their day is. I try to fill them out. Are they in a serious type of mood? Are they happy? I just try to fill them out, see what they're like, because you don't want to approach everybody with a chipper attitude and they're just not having it. So you want to try to fill them out, come down to their level, and then little by little you can raise it. You can throw a joke in here and there. It just depends, how you want to read people. You don't want to come at them all crazy and jolly and chipper when they're not gonna have it. So I usually ask them, "Do you live around here?" I ask every patient, "Do you live around here?" And mostly it's because I want to know where they're coming from. We have some patients that they drive miles to get to us, and those are the patients that I always also tell them, thank you. I appreciate you, coming back and visiting us. I know you moved. You now live in Vegas and you're still, making the trip. So be aware of all that stuff, especially if it comes to like, hey, would you like to reschedule? Yeah, no, I don't think so. I came from Vegas, So I always ask them, how'd you find us? Um, that's a very important question. Usually that question will lead to a lot of the answers that I want to get so that I know what kind of patient I'm dealing with. Um, who was your last dentist? Um, if they have a bad story, they're going to tell you. Definitely, they're going to tell you. And that gives you a lot of information of who you have in the chair. Um, And sometimes all this information comes towards the end of the X-ray taking because they actually wanted to tell you about their day. So just be patient. Sometimes it's not till you get to the room and they feel like, they can talk to you. Um, I I tell them a little bit about myself. I want to give them the confidence that they're being taken care of by somebody who likes what they do and someone who has their best interest in mind. So I tell them how long I've been at the office. I talk to them about how long I work with my doctor and why I stay. And I throw that in why I stay because I have some very good reasons of why I stay, and they're good reasons and they're positive reasons. And I like my patients to know that because if they know that I stay for certain reasons and that I'm happy there, they patients love hearing that. They love hearing employees laughing and having a good time because then they have a sense of feeling that this is the right place for them. So I always let them know that kind of stuff. Um, who was So I always also ask them once I get a little more deep in the conversation. I ask them, if their last dentist was local. I don't know maybe they moved from Arizona to California 2 months ago, and they're just checking us out. You know, how did and that all goes with the kind of how did you find us? And I tell them a little bit about the office and the staff. I always tell them about my doctor too, and how they like to practice and take care of patients. Um, I have my spiel on that. It's not word by word, but I hit certain points because I like them to know. I like them to know for sure. And also the other thing that I do is while I'm taking X-rays and we're talking and you're chatting, I pay attention to the X-rays that I'm taking. If you see an open margin on the crown or you see a huge cavity, I kind of slow down. I stop. I say, hey, does this? And I touch their face. I go, does this area right here ever bother you? They say, no, no. Oh, well, why? Well, and then I show them on the X-ray. I say, well, there's something here going on. You probably want to ask the doctor. A lot of you guys know that you're not supposed to diagnose or so you want to be careful how you say those things. Um, but definitely point them out. And by the time they get to your doctor, it won't be the first time they hear it. They already know. Oh yeah, yeah. You know what? Trinidad told me. He said there might be something there. So hearing things more than once, it really digs it into their head and uh, gets them actually believing and trusting because it's more than one person saying it. Um, once I walk them over to the room, I continue talking to them about any issues or concerns that I think they may have about their visit or maybe their last dentist, treated them bad, I mean, really bad, or did a lot of bad work, or their staff was bad. I mean, it, I know I'm pointing out the negatives, but also you want to know the positives. If they're talking like really positive about their last office, you got some expectations because they know what it is to be treated really well. So you have to make sure and and meet those expectations. Um, once I seat them, I walk over to my doctor and I tell them a little bit about what I learned from the patient, and if there's any big concerns, I'll let them know. They're real concerned about this or that, or they have no idea they have this huge infection over here. Um, and when they walk in the room, um, and you walk in with them, it's almost like you're passing on the trust, you know. Um, and I'm while I'm talking about this, I'm just thinking like, there's some offices where that you may not have all the time in the world to do all that or talk to them, or that's not your culture, you know. But it is something that's important, and I know I've been in offices where that wasn't the culture. I mean, you take X-rays, you don't talk to them really. You're just hurry, 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 boom, boom, boom. Let's go, in and out, in and out. The heck with the patient experience. Are they gonna start? Nope. All right, get out of here. Go. Next. You know, I get it. I understand that. And for those of you in that environment, I hope you make it somewhere further that you can slow down and have a good time in dentistry. Um, I know when I was there, I just felt a little robotic. So, um, one of the other things is once you start the exam, uh, during the exam is when I really try to kick it up. I try to kick it up, and I, uh, I keep an ear out for the patient. And I'm gonna talk a little more about this right now, but what I want to just let you guys know right now is I want you guys to watch a small clip on one of our sponsors. Won't be too long. It's Icon Barbershop. They're in Camarillo and in Newbury Park. So if you need to get a fresh cut, I know I'm not a good candidate for that. But tell them the Dental Advocate sent you, and just watch this small clip. Check it out.
Jay here from Icon Barber Company. We're in the building. Hope you guys love our shop. We love our customers. We just want to give the best service to you guys.
All right. Thanks for hanging in there, guys, and checking out the small clip on the Icon Barbershop. Remember, they're in Camarillo. The owner's name's Justin. Walk in, say, "What's up, Justin?" The Dental Advocate, or Silly Panda, or the blacksmith sent me. Let them know. Let them know. Let them know you're watching. So, back to the exam. So, during the exam, if the doctor's explaining something and the patient is asking questions, and there's something that the doctor's explaining, and I feel like the patient's just not completely grasping, I'll go as far as to like ask the doctor questions for the patient, just because I can see that they're kind of like, just not completely understanding or getting it. And you can kind of know how much uh, knowledge or vocabulary your patient has as you talk to them in the x-ray room about dentistry. Some patients, they're not used to having long conversations about dentistry. So if they don't know the vocabulary, and then you have this doctor who is giving all these dental terms to explain the treatment, they're sometimes they get a little lost. So I'll even go as much as to like um, ask a question just to slow the doctor down, to kind of reiterate a few things so that they understand it. And one of the reasons that I do this is because no matter who you are or where you go or what's going on, if there's confusion on anything when you're trying to have a interaction with someone, um, you tend to lose it as far as the comprehend how you comprehend things. So if if uh, if I feel like the patient is confused about something, and my doctor, she's really okay with that, of me kind of chiming in. um, I know I've worked with doctors that they don't want you saying nothing, but to me that's a whole nother subject, that has to do with trust. And so she's okay with me chiming in and adding stuff like that. So it depends on the way you do things out, but I'll call it out. And you got to remember, confusion also leads to a big no to treatment, for sure. um, and after the exam, if I feel the patient was engaged and they understood, um, I just keep an ear out to see if we'll be starting any treatment, and I keep checking up on them. Whether I switch out with another assistant once the treatment starts, and if you are going to switch out with another assistant, especially on the first visit, you want to, and sometimes I know you can't, but you want to try to introduce them. Say, hey, Mr. Smith, I got to go and take care of this, but, Assistant B is going to come in. He's going to take good care of you. Assistant B, this is, Mr. Smith. You guys have a good time, blah, 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 whatever. And I always tell them, I'm going to say bye before you leave. And I do it. Even if I'm not dismissing them, I keep an ear out and an eye out, and I try to go up to them, and I tell them bye. Um, so sometimes patients just, during the exam, they just wave their head yes. And a lot of you guys know that while the doctor's talking, they're just like, uh-huh. So, you know, but they actually sometimes don't understand what's going on. Um, if you if you check up on them, even if you're not assisting them, like I said, always make sure that they know your name. That's one of the things that I learned to bring myself value is that they know my name. And I can't tell you how many times patients walk in and one of the first things they say is Trini here, or if I'm walking down the hallway and they hadn't seen me yet and they see me and they're like, hey Trini, what's up? It feels good. It feels good to go somewhere where somebody knows you. And I think that just goes for a lot of people. That's why people go to the same bar all the time. So that's across the board with knowing people's name. And oh shoot, next. So you are, as an assistant, you are like a middleman per se. You're like a middleman to the patient and the doctor. Until they've developed a relationship on their own, you're playing Cupid. You're playing Cupid, and for that connection and that trust. I know. I mean, how many times have you made a friend through another friend that you trust? You know, so it goes hand in hand with that connection. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and a big thank you for watching. They're giving me the signal here. Hold on a second. I think I got some questions. Let's see if I can get to you guys because I don't know how to do this. Let's see. Oh, here it is. So I got one question. It says, have you ever had a patient not want to trade assistants? And if yes, what do you do? Yeah, yeah, I have had patients that don't want to trade assistants. Honestly, when that happens, we pretty much cater to them. It's like anything else. You go to a business and you're used to somebody working on your car, or I hate to compare it to a car, but anywhere you go, you have a certain bartender that you like to sit in front of because you feel taken care of. It's that comfort zone, and a lot of patients always, when I show up in the room, sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here," and it feels good, and I hope that a lot of us can get to that point where you have that value of patients, looking for you. They look for you. Let's see. Well, I think that's it, guys. All right. So if you have any friends who should see this video, share it with them so they can watch too. Um, and I hope you all enjoyed this episode. And a big thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Next week, I have a special guest. He is very experienced. He's worked in specialty for a long time, and he's done a lot of training. And I think you guys are going to get some good information. It'll be a good conversation. So Again, if you have a story to tell or there's something that you want me to talk about, please hit me up on Instagram, on Facebook. You can get at me through Silly Panda Media, the Blacksmith. Um, just give me send me a message, and please support the channel by hitting the like button, tagging another assistant, or just sharing the video with somebody. Next week it'll be same thing, Wednesday, 8 p.m. And I'll see you guys here, man. And always remember, we are assistants on the rise. Keep it positive when it seems impossible, and may your suction never fail you. I'll see you guys, man. Peace. Thanks for watching.